welcome back to the end of another week. We're out in the yard, and as you can see, Francis decided to go ahead and mow the grass, so it's now pretty low, which is awesome. My door is open right now because I'm airing out my room. Poor Mr. B had a bout of diarrhea last night, so that was kind of unpleasant. But yeah, out in the orchard, things are going well. Some of the kiwis are doing better than others. That one's not doing so great, but some of the ones up there are doing better. So we'll see. We'll see who does well and who doesn't. I need to get out and finish weeding the rest of the space, but I wanted to check out our one apple. It's right there. Ta-da! Yeah, the only fruit growing in the orchard, but that's fine. I got around to clearing off that pad when Francis was out cutting all the grass. And over here, the strawberries, the alpine strawberries that I picked from the side of the road over on that side are starting to come in. The akebia here is growing. As a matter of fact, I need to prop him up a bit. I have a bunch of cilantro started in that space. I started a whole bunch of it because I actually bought a big bag of spiced cilantro, and I wasn't actually sure if it would germinate or not. So it seems to have, so that's cool. Coming back over here, there are some things growing. I can't even remember what I planted in here. There might be garlic down here. That might be garlic. But there's some things coming up there. If it is garlic, that's awesome. My intent was to plant garlic in these first like 4 or so, and I didn't think I had gotten around to it, but yeah, maybe I did plant some garlic in these 2, and they're finally starting to come up. But out here, the carport is back to being kind of a mess. I did pull out my garlic, and I just have it sort of on the floor airing because I don't have a better situation for it this year. Eventually I'll probably build myself some sort of drying rack, but right now it's all just out. I set up a little circulating pond for my wasabi, and we'll see how that goes. And then I'll show you up in the garden, but I did manage to prune some of the suckers off my tomatoes, and I have way more than I need, but I am planning on trying to pot some of these up. So right now they're just kind of hanging out in water, and they haven't even started like rooting or anything, but they're hanging out. I have some basil. Some of it's dead in there, but I have some basil that I want to try to propagate as well. So things to come this week are those. This is actually an extra shelf from my shelving things that I set up, so I may actually end up using that to dry the garlic, but I haven't quite gotten there yet. Out here, like I say, Francis weed whacked it all for me. Unfortunately, he did do a bit of a hack job to this poor plant. So down in there, he accidentally cut it. So I decided to go ahead and put a cage around it. So hopefully it'll come back next year. It was starting to look really good. And his mom's plant is over there. radishes in the garden. I picked some. They're over here. If you leave the French breakfast radishes to their own devices, they get massive. But they don't taste any spicier the bigger they get. So I guess that's good. I mean, I don't mind them spicy, but there's more food if you leave them in the ground. My physalis is blooming. So we have little flowers, and we actually have some fruits starting to develop. So what I really should do, I don't know who remembers from last year, but like this plant gets wild. So I watched another guy who basically said that like each of these, there's a snail there, but each of these stems, I should let like 5 fruits develop and then trim it. So for example, if I go way down there, like there's a branch, and then we already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So like this shoot, I should probably trim off and just let the branch focus on those 5. But of course I haven't trimmed it at all, and now it's giant. So I might come back this week and try to do that, but we'll see. This is kind of a hack job. I had the grand idea of wanting to regain some space. So you can go back to like last week, because it didn't look like this last week. But last week, basically this juniper went kind of all the way out. And so I started pruning him back. And unfortunately, like I tried to make him look nice, but there isn't really an easy way to make junipers look nice once you start hacking them, because all the underbrush is dead. So now we have this kind of like weird Santa Cruz wave thing going on here. And we'll see what happens. I mean, my hope is that these outside branches will continue to grow and kind of hide the dead stuff. But I did regain some space, and I still need to like hack down some of the larger things. So I went ahead and filled in the mulch from the areas that were exposed, and we'll see what happens there. Back in this little corner that I hardly ever show because I only come back here like once a year. I did start weeding all the way along this slope. Because it gets insane, and we had a ton of stinging nettles, which I hate. So the stinging nettles are up on the roof here, so that they can kind of bake in the sun and hopefully die completely before I put them in the compost. And yeah, a lot of this stuff, sometimes I rake it up, sometimes I just leave it and let it rot in place. So we'll kind of see how I'm feeling this year. I'm not really sure what I have in mind. I did extend my mulch here because Francis came and hacked down all the tall grasses that were growing along where I'm trying to relocate a bunch of rocks for the driveway here. So what I'd like to do is probably order a tarp and put it here so that I can dump this pile of horse manure and straw onto the tarp to finish composting for another couple of months so I can use it this winter. So then that will act as a weed barrier here, plus it'll have this whole pile there. And then I'd like to probably reclaim this fabric and maybe that fabric so that I can lay weed block around the rest of the space. That's just like a giant compost pile of stuff that I'm not really sure what to do. But over here, This whole area is like inundated with rocks. So as I've been doing all of the mulching, I take the fabric, I remove all of the big rocks, kind of rake it semi-flat, put the cardboard down, and cover it with mulch. And the rocks that I gather end up becoming the driveway here, which I need to spray with vinegar or something to get the weeds out. But basically, like all of these rocks came from elsewhere, and I'm trying to re-rock this area to go up to those, like my mulch pad and my compost dumping ground. So that's the plan there. And I'm not exactly sure how the continuity is going to go in here, but somehow I'm going to make this look prettier than it is now. I did get some plants from the local nursery. Some of these I grew. So these I grew. This watermelon I bought. So we'll see what happens. This guy I grew. This is another melon that I bought. This guy I grew. Another melon that I bought. And some more that I grew. And another winter pumpkin thing that I bought. So we'll see what happens. I know the ones that I bought, I didn't mark them because I wasn't sure who's who. I think the ones over there are the kabocha squash that I really, really enjoy. And then one of these, I think those might be butternut and these are spaghetti, or vice versa. But I planted kabocha, butternut, and spaghetti squash this year. And we'll see what happens there. Chickens are doing their chicken thing. I'm big into the mulch. I'm trying to mulch a lot more things this year. Last year I didn't mulch anything. And everybody consistently says like you should mulch. These potatoes are my last ones coming in, but yeah, some of these are doing amazing. Like this looks great. And then other containers not quite as well, but this is an experiment for this year, because last year my potatoes didn't really work very well growing in the ground here since it's so dense clay. So we're trying them in pots. I got some more like mosquito geraniums and lemongrass to try out this year. The chickens, Little Red's always super interested. She's definitely the most social. And then the black one is also pretty interesting character-wise. And the gray and the white ones, they're chickens. They just do their thing and they don't really care too much about people. But they do really enjoy the dust bathing area under their coop. So I'm really happy about this coop. It was out of stock for months and months and months. So I had to wait a lot longer. Whoops, sorry. I had to wait a lot longer before I could get it, but I'm super happy that I waited for that one because it's working out really, really well, like better than I originally expected. In here, oh my gosh, I'm not going to go down there, but I have the summer breeze strawberries. So if I come into this one, I can zoom in for you and you can actually see like there are strawberries, which is really neat because these have really pretty red flowers, and then they also make strawberries. So that was pretty cool. And my lilies are coming in, and those are actually edible apparently, so we could stuff those and eat them, but I'm not so interested. Strawberries, we've been getting so many strawberries, so that's cool. And I think I mentioned last week that something had gone through and eaten the dahlias, which was true, but like a week later, they're growing back. I mean, that one over there, not so much, and that one's having some problems. But these ones definitely have signs of growing back. So that's neat. But yeah, strawberries, we have a ton of strawberries. In the garden itself, I harvested all of the garlic there. So we'll see what happens. The onions here, obviously, bolted, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut those all off because I still have plans to try to use what's left of the bulbs down here, which kind of bulbed. Like some of them sort of started forming bulbs. But I need to cut off all the flowers and hope for the best with regard to the bulbing. But it's not as bad as it could have been. And then cabbage wise, I went ahead and took the netting off, and I got these 3 cabbages harvested. And I think I had mentioned that this one, I wasn't sure whether or not it was actually forming a head, but it was. And it was actually forming like a cone head, which is why it looked funky. So the other 4 actually, the 2 over there that I haven't harvested yet, and the 2 here are one variety, and then this one was a different variety that was purposely like coned. So because it was coned and pointed at the top, it didn't really look like it was producing much, but it did produce a very large ball. The lemon balm, I have to cut down. The fava beans are starting to look good. Not necessarily on this side too much. Oh yeah, here. Whoops, shoot. Yeah, I need to come out and prune all these brambles that keep coming in from the side. But down here, you can see that we have lots of big fava beans coming in. So that'll be cool. And yes, we have aphids too. I haven't really been doing much with the aphids because we have so many things growing that there's going to be plenty of food. I'm not too worried. But it is kind of weird that we have like great plants and then we have plants that aren't doing so well. So that's just something I've noticed. But the shelling peas here are coming in very well, and then my second patch is just starting to come in, and I need to plant out another section. And then over here, the same thing. We have lots of fava beans, and we have tons of pretty flowers from the sweet peas, but we also have the green beans. So this was like my first set of green beans, and they kind of shrink to younger ones way down there. And I plan to do the same thing on the other side where I sort of like succession plant those. And then here was kind of my big task this week, was trying to get my tomatoes under control. I'm definitely lazy when it comes to the garden. So I had everything going, and then I didn't prune, I didn't stake, I didn't do anything. And then I just came out over a couple of days this week, and I put the cages on. I tried to stake things as it seemed reasonable. They're all kind of kittywampus, like they're all over the place because some of them got quite large. So I didn't necessarily want to cut them because then that opens up like a big wound. So some of these, rather than just being like 1 cordon or 2 cordons, there's like, 5 or 6. In this case, there's 6 for this one. But we'll see what happens. It's all kind of an experiment. The basil I trimmed last week. I got a really decent harvest of basil. And I do that because that way it can start growing back. So like this thing was super tiny. Like I didn't even think this was gonna make it, but it's coming back. And then the ones that I trimmed, I trimmed the heads off. In here you can kind of see. And then that lets the side growths start coming out. And then basically I can prune like the bigger leaves as they mature, and then keep kind of head cutting it, and it just gets bushier and bushier. So that's definitely, I think that's definitely how I'm going to grow basil in the future. I tried growing it from seed this year, and it didn't really work for me. I'm sure I did something wrong, but yeah, when I bought these, all of my basil plants were part of like 4 pots that I got from the store, and I just separated them out, and they're definitely starting to do their thing. So as long as I keep head trimming them, they'll keep putting out new growth until they get sick or something. But it's doing well. And then I have like volunteer tomatoes. This one, that's a volunteer. So I have no idea what it is. I'm assuming it's going to be some sort of cherry tomato from last year. But yeah, so I have this volunteer. I actually have another volunteer in the bed over there, and we'll see who else pops up. But these are the radishes that I kind of let go crazy. So yeah, I didn't. This was the set of seeds that the mouse, like some mice, got into my seeds and destroyed them. So I figured, oh, I'll just throw them out in the garden and see what happens. But yeah, so if you let radishes do their thing, they get pretty big. So we've been harvesting these, and then I have I bought this courgette, Astia, and we'll see how that does. But I also planted courgettes. I mean, this is a courgette that I'm letting do its thing. There's another one over here that I planted from seed. Apparently there's another one here. I planted a couple of courgettes in here, but it seems like only those popped up and the rest of them haven't. But in here we also have, like, this is a beet from that mouse-eaten seed collection. And although most of these other ones are radishes, I thought there was one more beet in here. Oh yeah, this thing is a beet. So wherever it goes down to, that's a beet. So that'll last longer. I'll pull up all the radishes, and then our salad greens are coming in, so that's cool. And I have some carrots. So these are carrots. I definitely have a problem with germinating carrots. I think my carrot seeds are too old, and that's part of the problem. But I'll keep trying with the carrots. Just like I'll keep trying with the onions. We'll see how that goes. But I mulched my shallots, and they're looking pretty happy. This is actually, so these are onion shallots. So even though they grow like shallots, which is basically like in a clumping formation, but they look like onions. So they're going to be kind of round, bulbous things. Hopefully. I haven't grown them before, so we'll see what happens. So what else? I think that's it for this week. Things to come, I have no idea. So we'll just see. I mean, I definitely have to, like, I have to harvest some of this mint and dry it. So I'll be working on that. June is the last month that I can harvest rhubarb. This guy's looking pretty small still, so I don't think I'm going to harvest from him this year. But this guy probably has a few more stalks in here that I can harvest, so I might go ahead and do that and work on another rhubarb liqueur. And then, yeah, I don't know what else we're doing this week. So I will go ahead and sneak in here and leave you with the chickens eating the cabbage leaves. So they're doing their chicken thing. This one's my favorite, Little Red. So I call them Little Red and Lady Gray and Bianca, or no, Blanca, and the black one doesn't really have a name. But yeah, that's it for me. I hope you had a good one, and I'll see you next week. Bye.